It's Wednesday, August 21st, 2024. This is the Rolling Thunder Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Ryan.
All right. Ryan, how are things?
Well, I've returned from the Nanaimo Fringe Festival where I did 5 shows over 10 days. The show was a great success. It was a big learning curve for me because it was the first time that I had multiple visuals being projected behind me while I was on stage. My favorite part was I fell in love with the microphone that they were allowing me to use, and I want to purchase one for myself now because it gave me so much freedom that I was like, this is what it feels like not to worry about anything and I can just perform. It was pretty awesome.
Was it like one of those ones that like goes over your ears and then has like a little thing
Yeah,
like that?
yeah,
I don't know if you seeing Matt Rife's latest special. Like he's wearing one of
yeah.
those.
I saw the first 5 minutes and then I realized it was Matt Rife and I turned it off. So,
You know what? It's not that bad. It's an interesting way to like set up like a crowd work special.
yeah.
I think that kid gets a bad rap. He's very funny. Uh,
No, I agree with you, but there are certain comedians that I have to be in the mood for, you know?
yeah,
Um,
like anyone else in a wheelchair.
yeah, pretty much. Fuck them, you know?
That's right.
It's all about me. So, no, just kidding. But no, seriously, there are like some sense of humors that I'm like, I might be in the mood for, and some that I'm like, not right now.
Oh,
Like I love Bill Burr and Joe Rogan, but I really have to be in a Bill Burr or Joe Rogan moment in time to watch it, you know?
yeah.
So,
I dude, I totally understand that. I mean, honestly, um so I watched Rogan's special live and
yeah,
I don't know, did we talk about this last week on the podcast? I don't know if we talked about this. I don't think we
a
did.
little bit, I think.
A little bit. I
Yeah,
Suffice it to say, like I'm going through some stuff in my personal life and I was not in the mood to watch it while it was live.
yeah,
And then I had a chance to like sit down and relax with my lady and we watched it live, not live, but we watched it like after the fact.
yeah,
And I was like, this is quite good, this special. And
yeah.
and
I
it's
had sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say it's very interesting because like the left-wing media kind of went after him and was like, "Oh, he did this and this," but it's like if you're watching a lot of the special, he's going like, "These are just jokes, people. Like these,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
you shouldn't listen to me for health advice. You shouldn't listen to me
yeah.
for this. Like these are just jokes. I'm not serious at
I,
all." And it's like the left-wing media, especially, those are the people right now who, and as someone who's left-wing myself, not that left-wing, but left-wing myself
yeah,
like these are people who are always like, oh, so he made this statement. And it's like, no, it's a comedy special. He made a joke.
yeah.
Like,
I get that a lot with like my disability when I talk about because I talked about in the Fringe Festival, I you helped me work on some of the material and a good chunk of it's like my origin story of being disabled, right? So I had people coming up to me after the festival going like,
you were
is all
born.
that stuff, yeah, is all that stuff true? You know, it's like yes and no
Mm-hmm.
because we're still doing a performance. We still have to be entertaining. Like if I broke down and give scientific fact about cerebral palsy, that would be a boring fucking show. Nobody would want to watch it.
I mean, you'd be
But it,
fine if you were at TEDx.
yeah, but I'm not. The only thing TEDx about my show was the microphone I was using. That's about it. Uh,
So
so
I've actually been looking into like those microphones for you. Part of the issue is finding like the wireless thing because you can get
yeah,
like those microphones for like $30, but it's the wireless pack that's like tough to find
Well,
and stupid expensive.
yeah, my caregiver and I we did some research while we were there, and we did talk to the audio tech at the Port Theater in Nanaimo,
Hmm.
and the system that they were using for me, it's about $600 in total. But he said it can plug into any soundboard. It'll last you forever as long as you take care of it. So he said it was a really good investment. So we might be doing a fundraising show for a microphone for Ryan coming up here pretty quick. So,
Yeah. So
yeah,
so
because
how?
honestly, it's the most free I felt on stage, and I could just be myself. You
Hmm.
know, I could let my arms flail around, and I wasn't worried about bumping the mic or knocking over the mic stand or where like I had full range in the venue too. Like I drove back and forth. I talked to the audience. At one point, when Randy Andy was singing her songs, I would actually go sit in the audience and be like Statler and Waldorf from the Muppets the whole time, just running commentary in the back. It was so much fun, man. So much
Wait,
fun.
was your mic live during that? Like, were you
Yeah.
actually? Oh my god, I would hate you so much.
It was so good.
Uh just like
Yeah.
when we do our Rolling Thunder stage show, just like getting on stage with you is a nightmare for me, anyways.
Yeah. So imagine if I could just interject whatever I wanted to.
Uh yeah, I already hate you. I would hate you so much more.
Yeah. So good.
uh,
So good.
so you did 5 shows.
Yeah.
I noticed most of them were at like weird times too.
Yeah, but that's the way the Fringe
That's
ran itself.
yeah. Uh, did you go check out any other Fringe shows?
Yeah, I saw. Oh, unfortunately, there were three stand-up comedy shows that were running, and I could only get to one of them because of the venue
Okay.
that they had the other shows in. But I saw Adam Jacobson, who's a local
Yeah, he's a
Vancouver comic.
Vancouver guy.
Yeah, he did a show about uh, his wife with autism and stuff. He did a whole hour on that, and it was in an outdoor theater, and it was a lot of fun. I saw a magic show, like an all ages magic show.
Mm-hmm.
It was a family oriented show, so it was pretty like kid magicy, but it was still really entertaining. I saw a spoken word slash musical performance called Castle of Glass that was pretty good. So yeah, overall it was a lot of fun. And what's cool about the Fringe is they let you like they the performance in the Fringe allows you to promote your show within the other shows.
Okay.
So, for example, I saw the magic show 3 times, and each time he randomly picked me out of the audience to participate in a magic trick, and then I was able to promote Randy Annie myself with Wheels and Whoopee
Yeah.
uh, at that show. So it brought people that were thinking about going to the show but weren't sure. I made sure that I was funny enough as a participant in the magic trick that they're like, "Oh yeah, we want to go see this guy live." So
And
yeah, it was pretty cool.
also a bonus that like he could just place you in your wheelchair and you can't see like behind the hands
Mhm.
anyways. So
Exactly.
even you're like, I don't know how it's done.
Fuck you. All right. It's
uh
true though.
you had a good time though?
Yeah, I did. I mean, the ups and downs of like the logistics part of traveling with a physical disability and not having the comforts of all my equipment like I do at home, that became a lot, and it's a lot for my caregivers. So I'm very grateful for them because they're going outside of their work parameters
Hmm.
or what they're technically paid to do Because as long as they get me in my wheelchair, wipe my ass, make sure I'm fed, and make sure I get a proper amount of sleep, that's pretty much as far as they are supposed to go. But they always go the extra to mile with me and make sure that I can tour and I can perform. So I'm really grateful for them. And yeah, it's a lot, but we made it work.
Well,
Yeah.
I keep trying to tell you, Ryan. People like you. It,
Yeah. I'm
I
still trying to figure that one out.
yeah, me too. But uh, I actually came across a couple pictures from like when we did our stage show
Oh yeah?
where you were like fully shaved. That I was like, oh, thank God I've got those pictures.
Yeah, because you'll never see me like that
Oh, I
again.
know. Uh, the one good
Oh,
joke I got in on you that
yes.
time was thanks to that, and now that's off the table.
Yeah.
And also, I'm gonna have to never tell you. See, here's the thing that I didn't like when we did that show is like I told you one of the jokes that I thought about, and like
Yeah.
you're laughing, going like that's funny, and then the second we get on stage, you just no sell it, and like
Yeah, exactly.
I tell it, and you just go like this. Yeah, maybe try another one.
Ah, so good.
Uh, yeah,
So
good for
good.
you. Good for you. Makes me look like an asshole.
Yes,
Ah,
it does.
Ryan, you piece of shit. I love you.
I know. I know, buddy.
So five shows. How did like the rewrites that we did those work out? I imagine you would
Yeah.
have to adjust on the fly anyways, right?
Yeah. People definitely enjoyed the weight loss joke
Yeah.
and the moving from Manitoba to Alberta joke. They really enjoyed those jokes. They got big laughs. One a couple times they even got an applause break, so it was pretty
Oh wow.
cool. Yeah.
Well, I mean like that was the thing is so when we went through what you had, like
Yeah.
and here's the thing is I stand by the fact that and you've heard me I just continually blow smoke up your freshly wiped ass that you're one of the funniest guys working today that and it sucks that like no one knows who the hell you are which
Yeah, it does suck.
but it's like the way I look at it buddy is you're so funny you have this great act that you're actually putting together as an act and doing something like a fringe show the expectations are not like it's different you know
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I mean the thing that we were talking about is you wanted to express how funny a guy you were while you were doing this show and like when you sent me the script I was like here's how I'll explain to you how I read it so I would read a chunk of it that you wrote, and then the second I recognized one of your bits that you were shoehorning into it, I just skipped that bit because I don't got to worry about that bit. You don't got to worry about that
Yeah.
bit, right? It's just the parts. And like your initial launching point for it was just this exposition dump of like, here's where I was born, here's this.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like,
And
if you just work on this and get a couple quick jokes out, you'll find your rhythm. You'll be perfectly fine. And
yeah.
and it's like I've seen you get on stage. I've seen you, you know, the way that you and the fact that you actually just still open the same way is like hilarious to me for like a fringe show.
Yeah. I wanted to, the reason, I'll give you the reason why I did that.
Hmm.
Um, and that was, I, the only other experience with the Fringe I've ever had was when I did the Rape is Real and Everywhere show.
Hmm.
And those shows were so intense and so emotionally draining that after I was the only comedian that Emma Cooper hired that did all six of the shows. Like I
Yeah.
headlined three of them and I did spots in the other three. Um, Shane Clark did five, and everybody else just had their one show that they did.
Hmm.
And there were a number of people on the show because there were a number of stories that were told. But I just remembered how draining and how physically frustrated I felt
Hmm.
after the run. I felt really good about what I did because I know how well we portrayed our message and how it impacted people and how like she won Best of the Fest for that show, and that show deserved it because it was really well put together. Although it was on such a heavy topic that it just emotionally messed me up for months.
Sure.
So when I did this one and I still wanted to incorporate like talking about my life and different aspects, um, I wanted to start the show in a way that made me comfortable
Yeah.
right out of the gate. Is how I open every show by saying, "Hey fuckers, what's going on?" And it just instantly calmed me down. I instantly felt better, and I was able to just go into the material, right? So that's why I did that.
Oh, dude, it
And
makes 100% sense to me that you do it that way,
yeah,
anyways, right? So, I mean,
yeah,
yeah, realistically, that's of course you want to be as comfortable as you can once you get on stage.
yeah.
So,
Plus, that was the first time that I had to, like, I was doing such a large part of a different type of performance too. So
hmm,
the more I could be myself in it, like Ryan the stand-up comic, the better I felt, you know?
yeah, I'll tell you one thing. And this is it's good that you got to actually perform with a microphone like that, and that you could just relax and not worry about that type of thing. I am so self conscious that if I was wearing one of those, I would have no idea what to do with my hands. And
Yeah.
I would basically be like the very first interview that Ricky Bobby does in Talladega Nights. What do I do with my hands? You just leave them down. So, anyways, I'm just I'm.
Yeah.
It was a
Well,
good
I know.
race. We did fine. It was a good race.
Well, it's funny you say that because Randy Andy for the first couple shows,
Yeah.
she had like a boom mic stand for a guitar and a regular mic stand, and then for the last three shows, I think
Hmm.
they gave her a head mic too, and it opened her up to being able to walk around the whole stage and like the way they had the theater set up is we were basically like 5 feet in front of the audience. Like they were right there.
Yeah. I've performed at the Port Theater. It's a great
Yeah.
theater.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I really enjoyed it. And what was cool for me too, Chris, is they have an accessible shower in there because the first couple days I was there, I would have to go to the swimming pool and pay to go swimming, but I was actually just using
Just using
it
it
to
for the
go.
shower.
Yeah. So and I have a really funny bit that ended up becoming part of the show was with my first experience in Nanaimo at the public swimming pool.
Hmm.
Uh, and I don't know, do you want me to tell the story? We
Yeah.
can
Tell the
talk about.
story.
Okay, so um originally when I was planning to do the fringe, I have to plan everything down to the smallest detail because of my disability and all the equipment and just everything that has to do
Hmm.
with me going on the road. So I called the city of Nanaimo Parks and Rec Department, and I said, "Hey, my name's Ronald Shantz. I'm a quad spastic comedian. I'm gonna be in Nanaimo for 10 days. I was just wondering if you had this type of equipment. I won't bore you with what type of equipment. It's basically just like a lift
Hmm.
to enable me to get out of my chair and get into a what they call a water wheelchair, which is usually just an old wheelchair that they stole from the airport that they dump in the pool
Yeah.
now. And it's pretty because they're all rusted to shit and everything. Pretty, I have to take a tetanus shot every time I get in one of those motherfuckers. But
Yeah.
yeah, But yeah, so
I
then
I just in my head I hear that song like get out of my chair, get into this
yeah,
other chair. Like
yeah, pretty much.
so you
So
were
I'm
asking to
talking.
borrow this chair if they had one.
Yeah, I'm talking to the lady on the phone. She's like, "Oh yeah, the Nanaimo Aquatic Center is fully accessible. It's got a lift. It's got the chair. It's got the accessible shower." I was like, "Cool." I talked to them for 20 minutes over the phone about all this because the lady seemed really enthusiastic about it. So I go to Nanaimo and then I discovered that the facility that they told me that was wheelchair accessible is now under maintenance for the month of August. So it wasn't available. But um, the comedian I was staying with, Peter Hudson's like, oh, there's an older public pool called Bevan Park Pool. You can just go there, and they too had a room, but it wasn't as high tech, and it took a little work to use.
Hmm.
But they're like, oh, just go in here and wait. There's somebody using the room, but if you just like give them time, they'll come out and you can go in. So 10 minutes goes by, 20 minutes goes by, 30 minutes goes by, still not coming out, still not coming out. All of a sudden, this guy comes out and he's all bent over, and he looked like he was just doing fentanyl in the bathroom. And sure as shit, he was doing fentanyl in the bathroom.
Hmm.
Uh, and he was the one that was using the room. So we go into the room and realize that's not the room we need. The room we need was next door. It was next
Oh,
door to the
oh.
room, and nobody was in the room next door the entire time. I I watch people like come into the family change room and
Yeah.
they're changing their babies for baby aqua size or whatever the fuck, and they're talking to me and they're like, "Why are these three people just hanging out in the change room?" It was like super weird, right? And
It's
so I
it,
get to the room and there's no toilet, but I'm now out of my wheelchair
yeah.
and I'm hovering over the ground, and my caregiver's like, "Screw it, you gotta go to the bathroom." And I'm like, yeah, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I took a shit in the garbage can.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well,
And
did you at least do that in the fentanyl room because that would make sense there?
well, no, because they didn't have a handicapped shower in the Pentagon room. But the funny part is when the guy was coming out of the room when after smoking fentanyl, he looked at me, he went, enjoy, and he just wheeled out or like walked out. So after I was done showering, there happened to be another person in a wheelchair waiting outside to use the room too.
Hmm.
And so I just did the classic Nanaimo,
To
enjoy,
enjoy.
and then I fucked off. So yeah, yeah. So
Ah,
that was my introduction to Nanaimo. Let me tell you, it was quite entertaining.
that's oh man. I
Yep,
uh I think that's the title of this podcast. So I bleeped in the garbage can.
yep. Sounds good to me, man.
uh so
Yeah,
I'm glad the shows went well. Uh
yeah.
do you guys if you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Do you guys at least break even on it because I know
I don't know
you
yet.
don't know
They
yet.
haven't.
Okay.
They said that they send a check in the mail like 7 to 10 days after the festival,
Well,
and
I hope that went well for you guys. Because I know sometimes, like, I know people that will go into like Edinburgh, and it's basically like they're they're losing 5 to 10 grand just to do
yeah,
Edinburgh, which
yeah,
is like I mean it makes sense because if you're flying out from Canada, you know you got to incur that cost. You got to incur the cost of like staying somewhere, doing all of that. Um,
yeah.
you know,
Luckily, luckily for Nanaimo, local Nanaimo comic Peter Hudson let us stay with him. But like any true comedian I know, and I'm pretty sure you're not one of these people, but we know many of them that they don't have a bed frame, so their bed's on the floor, and with my equipment, I need the bed to be raised up a bit so we
Yeah.
can get under. Well, you've toured with me, you
No,
know.
I've
Oh,
got a bed frame. It's over there. But
yeah,
it's like,
because you're an adult, right?
yeah,
You're
but
an
you know
adult.
what? I had been talking about getting like a Japanese futon, which you sleep on the floor with. But you have to like roll it up every day
Really?
because if yeah, it's like it's got like cotton and buckwheat and shit in it. Not
Okay.
excrement, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
things.
I
I don't
know.
know exactly what's in it. I'm just trying to describe. Uh
Yeah,
so you have to like physically roll it up in the mornings or at least like fold it up and get it off the ground because if you don't, it starts to like mildew and mold underneath. Um
okay.
so I was thinking about hold on. I just got the 10-minute warning, and I'm sure that probably popped up on the screen. Okay, I'll restart this and we'll cut it. Uh,
Okay.
so basically, I'm looking at getting a Japanese futon. It's got a bunch of stuffing. You have to like roll it up every morning, or else you get mold and mildew underneath. And I was looking at getting one of those more as like just to start a morning routine. Like
Yeah, I get it.
something that I have to do, that I have to spend some time doing because
Yeah,
I'm like dude, I'm the type of person who I'll set my alarm an hour before I have to actually get up and hit
yeah,
snooze 5 times.
yeah,
It's the worst. I fucking do it all the time. All the fucking
yeah.
time. And I've been trying to get better at not doing that. Um I mean, it's like it's that old saying of like uh I forget. I was listening to a podcast and someone was talking about like some old Navy SEALs rule of like just doing a 5 4 3 2 1 get up, and you just force yourself to get up. But I'm always like, I'm gonna get snooze button, more sleep. Like that's what I do.
If I didn't have caregivers getting me up, I'd still be in bed right now because that
Yeah,
trip took it out of me. And I was like, you know what? Sunday can just be a Sunday where Ryan sleeps and he'll wake up on Monday and hate Monday for being Monday, but he'll
yeah.
get up. Yeah, I get it, man. I get it. But I'm also so lazy that if I didn't have people to help me put my pants on, I'd never wear pants. I'd just be a human Donald Duck everywhere I went. So
I don't know why you said that. Like you could put on your own pants.
I know
Come on.
I like to have the imagination of it anyway. Let's put it that way.
You're the last adult male with an imagination.
Yes.
We I lost that as I grew up.
Did you?
Yeah.
You're grown up?
Oh, all right. Yeah.
I
Saw that one.
know.
Saw that one coming.
You should have. It went over your head though, because you're so short. Oh! Okay. Anyway,
I'm just gonna
sorry.
no sell that too, prick.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And
So what
that's
what's on the docket for you now? I guess there's South Rock Comedy Fest coming up that we're
in
both
September, yeah.
we're both a part of. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was the program director for that, and that's pretty exciting. I'm also
You're
doing,
doing a show though, right?
yeah, I'm doing a show on this Saturday.
Okay.
I'll be on this Saturday. I'm co-headlining a coffee shop.
Ah.
My career's on fire. Um,
Is
just kidding.
that the
It's a
same
good.
venue that I did the other year?
No,
I can't
that's a different
remember.
one.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know it. I know what venue you're talking about. No, this one's different. So,
The way I was booked to do that was very interesting because it was one of those things where they were like, "Yeah, we want you to host this because we see how you interact with younger comics and we think that, it'd be good for
yeah,
them. but then it's also like, okay, but all of these comics only play in like basically east of like the Fraser River, so
Yeah.
I never even get a chance to see them to be like, hey, like I liked what you did here. This was pretty good, you know?
A lot of those comics are in a program called Hilarpy, which
Yeah.
is part therapy and part comedy. And yeah, a lot of them only do the Hilarpy showcases, which are done in the like the White Rock Surrey area.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the occasional one or two branches out, but then I never see them as much as I should because a lot of those people are super, super talented and they just don't know it yet, right? So
Yeah. I know
yeah,
I've been asked to like uh host like a comedy class, and I just I it's not that I don't think I can do it. I just wouldn't even know where to begin. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like cuz
Uh,
I don't want to be like the comedy teacher who's like, "Okay, let's write out about this thing and let's try to create a joke." Like I'd rather more try to guide people.
well, what I like about what Hilarpy does and what Lizzie Allen does is she just allows people to be themselves.
Mhm.
She doesn't. She gives them a structure to write material, but she doesn't guide them in any way. She lets them find their own way through it. So it's very unique to that individual when they're done.
Mhm. I always feel like that structure though is just something that like you'll come up with naturally.
Yeah.
If you're writing towards a structure, I think it either I don't want to say it's problematic because I don't feel that's the right term of phrase for it, but it's like if I'm sitting down trying let's write a rule of 3, like it's not going to come across as naturally funny as if I
No.
just have the idea for like I could say this, and
Yeah.
then I could break with this one.
Yeah. I definitely agree that it's hard
Uh-huh.
to teach funny because either people are naturally funny or they're not, in a lot of ways. But
But I
when it comes to a comedy course, though, I think people take the course because they just want to. They've always thought about doing it, and it's on their bucket list. And,
yeah, of course. I mean, also like some people take it because of a lack of confidence or whatever. I took a
yeah,
comedy course one time. I was like talked into it because the person who did like was the teacher of the comedy course watched me eat it at a show, and
okay,
they were like, hey, why don't you come and like take my course? uh you know, to their credit, they let me do it for free, and then basically I just got to
okay,
do it like a good showcase set on their
yeah,
show. But it was like one of the things where I was like in the class, and I was like, it really just became a writer's room more than anything.
yeah,
So that's how I treated it. Like, here's this bit I'm working on, and then, you know, I'd hear the instructor go like, okay, well, this part's not needed. And I go, what do you mean that part's not needed? That part sets up this punchline way down here. Like,
mm,
you know, it's the missing of like the 4D chess that we kind of play while we're on stage.
yeah,
It's like, I love the jokes where someone says something up here and
and then
you aren't even considering that that's a setup for a punchline way the fuck down here, you know?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Like, so it's
yeah,
not just like, here's the setup, here's the punchline. It's like, this line is going to be called back to way down here. But
yeah,
like, it's not a callback or anything. It's just like, oh, because he said the thing there. Uh,
mm-hmm,
and just listening to that, like, incessant, you know, yes, the fat needs to be cut. I understand that. But if you don't understand why this line is here, right here, and you're trying to get me to cut one line, that if I cut that line, that's going to mess up this joke down here, which then in
Yeah.
turn messes up these three punchlines that follow it. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
I def and I think also like I I came up in comedy like where there wasn't as many shows,
mhm.
right? So there wasn't as much stage time. And that also kind of developed my style too because I had to make sure that when I did have stage time, they were ready to go. Like the material was there
Yeah.
because there was no place to work it out. Because if you had a bad show, you might not get on a show for a couple months or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I'm glad the scene isn't quite that brutal anymore. But I mean, like the scene was like that when I started too. Get that off of there. Basically, what I was saying was like the scene back when I started was it was in such a way that like yeah, it's the same as when you started. Like there was a handful of rooms and there were only a few where you can have a rough set and you get put on it within a couple weeks. But
yep,
it was like if I went to like the Jupiter Lounge or like even Yuck Yucks back at the time, if you ate it at Yuck Yucks, it's like you weren't getting on for 3 months.
exactly.
And it's like but it was also like if you did okay, and there were, I wouldn't say there were as many comics as there are now, but there were plenty of comics. Like
Hmm.
if you were any type of good, you could still get on Yuck Yucks every 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then it's like when like they
Like,
switched over to the comedy mix, and then when a new Yuck Yucks opened, it was like I could be rostered with a club and not get on every 3 weeks. It was
yeah.
wild that
Yeah.
like and it's like yeah, you really, I mean, with how it is now, there is more opportunity to try stuff out, have it not go
Yeah.
well, and if you're
And it,
established enough, people will know they're funny, they're just working shit out.
yeah, and also just the same, there's more opportunity for people to just try stand-up comedy and be part of the community too,
Yeah.
which is great. I think it's awesome.
There aren't as many open mics though. That's the one thing that I've noticed. There's only
Yeah,
like 3 or 4 open mics that you can just show up and like straight up show up, go up.
yeah,
Like almost everything is pre-booked. And some places when they pre-book, like I've had places that are like, "Hey, here's what we have 2 months from now." And I'm like, well, pencil me in, but know that if I get anything in between, I'm taking it because I don't book that far out in the city." Like,
yeah, yeah. And the one thing about it too is I enjoy booking. Like I run the show in White Rock, right? So I
yeah,
enjoy.
Galaxy. When's your next one coming up?
Uh, well, our show is going to be part of the festival for the South Rock Comedy Festival, but it's gonna be it's gonna be an amateur competition, and then the winner of the competition gets a paid spot later on in the festival.
Oh,
So
that's nice.
that's gonna be on the next one for that specifically
Hmm.
is on September 18th, but then the show comes back to its regular form October 17th, and we have Sid Bozell uh headlining that night, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Nice. I love Sid. She's so funny.
Yeah, and she's a wonderful person too.
She's I don't know if I'll tell you this and then we'll wrap this up for this week. Uh, so I was actually doing a show on the island with Pete Hudson, and it was like a little small tour. We did calling it a tour. It was 2 shows. It was just a little 2 night run,
Yeah,
and I noticed on like the posting online that there was an opener booked for like the second night. The first night, there was no opener booked. And I was like, so wait. I was talking with the booker going like, do you want one of us to go up cold and do 45 cold? Like, you know how difficult that is, especially at like a bar show? Like,
Yeah.
I go, can we get an opener, please? And the booker, I was like, who's in that town or in that area that's remotely good? And he starts going like, well, there's this person. I was like, I don't know them. There's this person. I don't know them. And he goes like, there's this lady, Sid. And I was like, Sid, yes, I like Sid. And he goes, well, I just had her on. I was like, I don't care. We need just someone who's strong enough to bite the bullet to get the show going. And then we can, I go, they don't need to host the full show. As long as they bring up one of us, we can bring up the other headliner. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like, we can shotgun style the show. And he's like, okay, well, I'll try and get in contact. And then, like, at that moment, I'm already texting with Sid, like, hey, what are you doing? There's a show up in this town. It's like, 20 minutes from where you live. And she's like, that's awesome. Fun. Want to come over for dinner? And I'm like, I'm kind of with the booker right now, so as much as I'd like to, not going to happen. But, like, come do the show. Come have fun. And then, of course, she, like, crushed it. Like, she's so good and funny.
Yeah. She is. She's just a great person all the way around.
Yeah, I agree.
I think our podcast has picked up my voice-activated software in my room because something is playing on my TV in my room. So
well, that's all right. I can't hear it, so we're all good.
Yeah.
All right. We got to wrap this up. We'll be back next week.
Yes, we will.
I guess we'll probably pre-record that one as well. Maybe after. Are we doing? We gonna watch AEW All In together?
Sure.
All right. So we'll.
When is it?
Next Sunday.
What is next Sunday?
AEW All In. The 25th would be the next Sunday.
I think I got to get back. When is the Vancouver Roast Battle shows? Do you know?
Nope. I don't know.
Because I'm supposed to roast John Gagnon. And I thought that was on the 25th, but I'll check.
Check on that. Get back to me. Okay. Well, you've got that show coming up. Trying to find the time on this All In show as well, because I feel like because it's from London, England, I feel like it'll start in the afternoon.
Okay.
So it's even possible we might be able to do those and get you to your show on time without much of an issue.
You want to help me write for that show? Because I don't really know. I'm not really good at the roast battle thing.
Oh, you're saying that like you think I'm good at roast battles. I'm not good at roast battle.
Between the two of us, though, we always come up with something.
That's true, but like I'm the type of person who will write a roast joke, and then everyone will be like, "Whoa, that was a little too to the core with this person." So
that's what I want, though.
All right.
Okay.
I
already have jokes. Yeah.
Check out Ryan at Vancouver Roast Battle. I will be at South Rock Comedy Fest coming up. Is it southrockcomedyfest.com? And Ryan and I will be doing Rolling Thunder at Yuck Yuck Surrey. That'll be mid-October, I believe the 18th and 19th is when we're doing that. And we'll be putting stuff together for the spring. I have to figure stuff out in my life, so like it's not quite something I can talk about on the podcast just yet. But we'll talk off air and have a brief catch up over it.
Sounds good.
But like so right now my schedule's kind of in flux aside from like those gigs, but it'll all figure itself out.
It will.
All right, that's it for this episode. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
All right, Ryan.
Always a pleasure.
Okay. That's it. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Bye.